Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 8 Japanese aircraft carrier, Shokaku. She has 50,100 health, a top speed of 34 knots, 6 squadrons, 2 fighters, 2 torpedoes, 2 dive bombers, a surface detect of 11.2 kilometers, and 50 AA defense rating. For my modules, improved fighter DPS, improved fighter health, reduce the chance of flood and fire, improved fire and flood recovery, concealment. For my commander, expert rear gunner, improved torpedo rearm, improved torpedo speed, and aircraft servicing expert. We are on the map Hotspot, and I'm going to send out my fighters. My fighters are going to be my scouts. I'm going to try and figure out where the enemy destroyers are located, their intent, possibly provide intel for my team, and if I'm happy with the potential target, I will send in my torpedoes/dive bombers. Now, it's an aircraft carrier game. Notser, why are you playing an aircraft carrier? I thought you hated the UI. I do, but I need to play them. I need to learn them. I need to have a tier 10 for both of them. This game is pretty exceptional, though. That's why I'm sharing it. You might have caught wind of the title. If you haven't, well, I don't want to spoil it. It's a pretty interesting game. So we scout out an enemy destroyer, enemy Mahan, one at least. There are 4 on the enemy team. And I don't believe... Am I going crazy? I think that's a different one. Yeah, it is a different one. I'm not going crazy. There are 2 enemy destroyers right on top of each other going for C point. I'm bringing in my torpedo bombers. I want to try and torpedo them in their smoke. Aircraft carriers are great, obviously, against destroyers, denying them line of sight, attacking them, picking on them, especially when one of them pulls a Notser right in front of them. He ran into the island, Jim. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to torpedo his butt. So I just set up an attack. The Japanese require just a little bit more room to attack with their torpedoes. And I thought, it's just a little bit too close. He's not going to be there when the torpedoes are sent. And you see me bumbling because I'm getting too close to that dotted line for manual drop. When we actually send the torpedoes, we're probably not even going to hit him. Now, I believe he was sandwiched, and good. The friendly German, he's not going to get hit by it. He was sandwiched. 1 torpedo from me, 1 torpedo from the friendly German. The enemy, who's very low, decides to pop a smoke. All right. And I called in my dive bombers a little bit too slow. On the other side of the map, and yes, you need to try and do this, impact both sides. There is a destroyer trying to capture A point. I would like it if he doesn't. And I think I'm a little slow on the dive bomber. I should have called up the dive bomber when I felt like, yeah, let's go after these guys. I didn't. I called him up way too late. And now my team is going seconds without seeing the target when I could have impacted the encounter. And I could also scout out those torpedoes that do indeed hit the friendly. He's barely alive, but he didn't need to take that damage. There is a North Carolina in the area, and that is absolutely terrifying, of course. We are close enough to one of the enemy destroyers to scout him out. The other one is conveniently firing his guns. They're trying to take out the friendly German, and I just want to dive bomb this guy. So I've seen this technique, or at least I tried to see the technique. You set up an automatic drop on the target, and then at the last second, you use manual. And the reason for this is it's easier to control the automatic direction that you're attacking from. Once it sets up a clean attack, you swap back to manual very quickly, and you should be more precise with your drops. I'm trying to improve. I know I'm crap. I'm sorry. The fighters are conveniently on the western flank. However, we show up too slow to get the torpedo bombers. And I am so terrified, of course, of a North Carolina. He can absolutely end me. I don't really care about him. I care about the drunken master, who seems to really like running into islands. I want to kill him. So I try and set up an attack on his side. There's not enough room to really attack, and honestly, I don't think it would have mattered. The North Carolina would have taken him out, and yeah, look at that. He drags me through all that shipping. There's just nothing we could do, and I'm trying to break out. You can queue up in this game. it is useful to queue, so you make sure you're doing multiple actions at the same time. I am not doing it as well as I should, and this guy, he's still in the area. My second torpedo bomber is also in the area, and I'm just going to try and go after him. Maybe he stays in the area. Maybe he has to deal with the friendly North Carolina on his team getting in his way. I give plenty of room just to make sure it is fully activated. We don't hit the destroyer, but we do hit the North Carolina. It causes a flood. It's going to force out damage control. That's just what you do. You don't put the fire out, especially when there's an aircraft carrier. You know he wants to go after you. It was just convenient that I was able to hit the North Carolina even when I failed going after the destroyer. And now my dive bombers are back up. We can go on the attack for the North Carolina. The team, not looking too good. The western flank, a little too aggressive. Friendlies take a huge chunk of hit points off of that North Carolina. And I set up, at least I expect to drop on this guy. But it does look like my friendlies will indeed take the target out. Great. That leaves my dive bomber ready to go. I was keeping a destroyer spotted. I think they mutually killed each other, which is good for me. Not as good for the friendly, but I don't have to worry about the enemy destroyer anymore. And a friendly cruiser or a battleship, yes, a battleship, friendly North Carolina takes out the enemy destroyer. So even being as crappy as I am, I'm still giving intel to my team. I'm still at least being there. There are definitely areas that I could improve. Make sure that there are always aircraft overhead. Don't want them to rely on the smoke alone and not be able to attack the enemy on the other side of smoke. I also need to try and drop a little bit more optimized. Enemy Bismarck is parallel to the edge of that island, and I just want to attack him. He's very vulnerable. He could not be more straight on, and I just need to make sure that I hit the actual target when I dive bomb. We get 2 fires. We do 5,300 points of damage. Not the most. You really live and die by torpedo bombs. What you would ideally like is that the dive bombers force out damage control, and the torpedo bombers come in and cause flooding, and they do all their massive damage. That's what you want to do in an ideal scenario. I don't think it's worth it trying to hold off on aircraft to store up the perfect attack. You just need to keep going. You could get lucky. You could have a friendly who forces out the damage control. Now the Bismarck, he's got to deal with the island. He doesn't want to run into it. He's showing a ton of side to my friends. They do a ton of damage. I drop with plenty of room just to make sure that I indeed will kill him. We do kill him. The enemy Hatsuharu is also in the area. We should try to keep him scouted. However, he's outrunning his smoke until I think just now he realizes, oh yeah, that smoke thing. We should probably stop. And the team has brought this back nicely. We've gotten a couple kills without losing anyone. We have a 2-base-to-1 advantage. Most of the enemy team is all the way on the western side of the map. And yes, I am a complete scrub. Don't scroll around the map. Right-click on the mini-map where you want to go. Please right-click. Don't scroll. The only time you would ever scroll is if you want to get a more precise picture of exactly what you're looking at after you've done the big movement. I bring my aircraft over, and initially I was like, oh, wow, we got lucky. We detected him. Clearly we didn't. It was the North Carolina who detected him by being within 2 kilometers of the target. Hopefully he doesn't send out torpedoes. If he does, I can't tell the North Carolina that they're there. The smoke is screening it. And we've got everyone in the west dead. So the east must be the best. We must help our team. It's 4 versus 5. We've got the advantage on bases. It's looking pretty good. I've only done 34,000 points of damage. You know, pretty pathetic, honestly. But I've given a lot of information to my team. And if I could do just a little bit better job, we could be way far ahead at this point. You just need to always try to improve yourself. I know, Notser, but I just want to relax. I just can't do that. We see that an enemy torpedo bomber is on approach. I take the automatic hovering of my 2 fighters to try and intercept and get it to be inaccurate. We do get it inaccurate, but he does get out 4 torpedoes on my friendly. We completely wipe out the set. Also, why didn't you use manual? Why didn't you just spray and pray and take it out real quick? Sometimes they juke, and it uses up a lot of ammo. I would rather just be precise, kill the target, move to the next target. I've had a lot of weird UI issues as well with the manual fighter attack path. It bugs out so many times. It'll go a different direction to what it is showing on the minimap. So that's the reason why I try to do automatic most of the time for my fighter. Enemy Hipper is on approach to A point. It's not really a good idea for him. Most of the German cruisers don't run defensive fire. They run hydroacoustic, so he might have good AA, but he can't make it inaccurate, and we drop a little too close. I have to reassess the drop, and I think I honestly put it just a touch too far forward of the ship. Only 1 bomb disperses into the target, and he's left on 2,000 hit points at this point. It's not really worth it to attack. My torpedo bomber is not going to get lucky. Just allow the battleship to kill him. I'm going to go after the New Mexico. And for anyone who's never played in New Mexico, they are slow as molasses. The American battleship line is the slowest battleship line. I mean, it's got to be the slowest full tier. Yeah, sure. North Carolina, the Iowa, and the Montana get speed, but you go, what, tier 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at 21 knots, 22? It's bad. So I miss completely with the small squadron. I do, however, hit 1 torpedo, and conveniently, that 1 torpedo bomber causes a flood. It's going to force out damage control. Conversely, I'm using the fighters to detect the destroyer on the northern flank, and I really would prefer if my teammates survived, trying to provide as much torpedo intel, and the Benson looks to be avoiding it. I guess the Benson doesn't want to avoid it. He ran smack dab into that torpedo. I know that feeling. Oh, crap. We've got to pull back our fighters to try and stop the torpedo attack on the North Carolina. And so far, I felt pretty good. I was like, okay, we're doing a good job trying to protect our teammate. Sometimes I'll find myself forgetting that I have fighters when I'm in a Japanese build. Hasn't been the case yet in this game, and I need to try and re-establish contact with the destroyer and keep him spotted. I know, friendly does have aircraft up, but I don't know how long. So I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of the fact that we are down by 1, and we don't want that destroyer to change the balance of the game. I would really like it if I could have my dive bombers and my torpedo bombers to take him out. The North Carolina is still alive, thankfully, and he is in the process of capturing the base. I don't know how successful he's going to be. I think it's going to be really difficult for him, but at least he's stopping them from benefiting from it. And the friendly, go after the destroyer, CV. I know. I appreciate that the rambling man is telling me that. And here's another. You set up with your automatic, and then you go into manual. Granted, you need to actually be accurate with your manual. I know, but that's the technique that I've seen successful, and for whatever reason, I get a little jumbled up on what I'm supposed to do. You know, whenever you play an aircraft carrier, you sort of have to get into a rhythm. There is an element of, there's an element of making plays and doing commands that feels natural and moves the flow of the strategy along. You don't want to get caught up where a lot of things come together because you're not going to be able to handle all those actions. And are we going to get lucky? We do. Mid-ship, we take out, well, we don't take out, but we do a significant amount of damage to the Kagedo, and looky there. We've got another set of torpedoes that we can set up on this guy, and I want to make sure there's plenty of room. We lose the friendly New Mexico, and now I'm alone. 1 versus 4. And just look at how much lead I give this guy. I'm not going to fall for moving inside of the activation. We get the torpedo on the target. It doesn't kill him. It doesn't cause a flood. And I have to win this game. I can't allow the enemy to capture B. I have to try and interrupt it as often as possible to give me a chance to win the game. I also set up my aircraft on the other side of an island as close as possible. We need to service the aircraft and send them out as quickly as possible. That's the only way I can get. I have to get damage on the target. I need to be fairly close to do damage on the target. And I tried to set up a automatic drop, thinking, surely it's going to hit the target. No, of course it's not going to hit the target. All it does is interrupt his ability to capture, which is a nice thing. But it doesn't accomplish the goal of killing the target. So even when you think, oh, I only need like one bomb to make contact, let's just go automatic. Don't. Automatic's that bad. For whatever reason, the enemy Kagero sends out torpedoes at the worst possible second. He holds his direction too long and we get the kill. We got so lucky that he spent all that time torpedoing nothing. I'm not detected. They do know that I must be there because they see aircraft going up and going down right in a little area north of Sea Point. But that was the worst possible moment for him to send out torpedoes with the aircraft overhead. And now we are detected for the first time by a dive bomber squadron, which is pretty unhealthy. I'm going to go after it with my two fighters. It's going to be really hard for the enemy aircraft carrier to do anything to me. So, I'm going to set up a torpedo attack. I could go after the Nagato. He is lower. I decided to go after the New Mexico. He's one tier lower. That was really the thought. Maybe we could get him out. And plus, he's closer to me. I want to keep the closest targets as far away as I possibly can. We have two torpedoes make contact. They cause a flood. It's going to force out damage control. And if I can play it correctly, give enough time in between the immunity, the flood and fire dot will stick, causing massive damage, because he's going to have to wait at least 45 seconds if he has premium. If he doesn't, over a minute, he'll be dead, especially if it's a flood dot. And I'm trying to set up a good attack path. He seems to try to avoid it as best as he can. I drop with plenty of lead. I don't expect to get a lot of hits on the target. It looks like he's going to run right into at least one. It does cause a flood. We got lucky there. We also get two fires from the dive bomb. Near perfection on the dots. Definitely could do better with the torpedo drop, but the dots, we've got at least, I don't know, 1,500 per second going on this guy. It's the worst case scenario for a battleship. And at this point, I'm feeling like I've already killed him. I'm going to go after his friend, the Nagato. So we're going to make sure that we have a clean waypoint through the target. We drop directly on the target. It causes two fires. It's an automatic damage control in every scenario. And once we know he's used it, the enemy New Mexico, of course, dies while this is going on. We knew he was dead, right? We knew it. Once we know he's used it, I try and pause for just a little bit to make sure we're outside of his immunity. Maybe we dropped a little bit too close to the immunity. Is the dot actually going to stick? It seems to have stuck. So we got lucky there. It probably just fell off the target. That's about as close to the window as you want to get. I mean, I'm telling the truth. That was probably more luck than skill getting that close to the window. And the enemy Nagato is going to die. He can see me. I'm on the other side of the island. They have aircraft up. They can't do anything. And he, frustratingly, fires into the island. Nothing to do. And now it's 1 versus 1. There are 45 seconds left in the match. We will win this game. This was the first legitimate solo warrior I have ever earned in the game. I have played this game since it's launched, and I can't believe it's taken this long to get in a scenario similar to this. And I have a theory for why it happened. Most of the time, in a destroyer, cruiser, or battleship, I'm pretty confident in how to play, how to lock it up before it gets to the point where one has to fight for. I'm not so confident with aircraft carriers. There are plenty of mistakes made in this game by far that you could easily critique, and I'm critiquing them as well. I want you to be a better player and recognize those mistakes. But hey, I'll take it. And I didn't even know it was going to be a solo warrior until I saw the medal. I was so relaxed that I think it allowed me to be more successful, not knowing that solo warrior was on the table. I got 4 kills, 126,000 points of damage done, a ton of torpedo hits, and only 1,875 base XP. Great job, North Carolina. But I got a solo warrior. And that's the aircraft carrier in a nutshell. You just don't get rewarded for all that you provide the team. Intel, you don't get any of that. 39,000 in dot damage, damage over time, fire and flood. Mostly torpedo, of course. That's where the damage comes from for Japanese. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.